Anyway, with words being banned from our daily vocabulary faster than you can say woke, how does a person have freedom of thought, will and conscience in the 21st century? Living Freedom is a summer camp set up to explore the many issues which threaten the way we were born to think, question and debate, well, pretty much everything. The camp's convener, Alistair Donald, and young art historian and one of the event's speakers, Ella Nixon, join me now. Thanks for coming in. Alistair, do you want to start off by telling us about the camp?
Yeah, Living Freedom is an initiative set up by the charity that I work for, Ideas Matter, and its basis is to interest young adults in freedom and discussing and debating and engaging with all issues related to freedom. The summer school is existed since 2017, so every year, and we get about 50, 60 people together of all ages within that 18 to 30 range who discuss all sorts of ideas over the course of 3 days and hopefully come out at the end of it richer and more informed and hopefully more convinced of the importance of freedom and free speech.
And the course is for 18 to 30-year-olds. I mean, why do you think it's important to be discussing this stuff with young people, Ella?
Well, I think there's a lot of people at university don't really think about what freedom of expression is, or maybe they don't know, they've never experienced it. And I think for me it was really important to go there and just out of curiosity to see what it was and kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't have until you experience it. So
you were there as an attendee last year and now you're speaking at it this year?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, last year was my first bit of involvement with the organisation, and it was really eye-opening. And it just gave me a real taste for what where free speech can get us, and it's really helped me to develop my thinking and writing since. And
what are you going to be speaking about at the event?
I'm going to be speaking about sensitivity readers,
right?
Especially reflecting on like Roald Dahl's, the Puffin books. Debacle, I guess, earlier this year, and I'm going to say what's wrong with updating old books.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed they never get a sensitivity reader for the Quran. They're quite happy to re-edit some children's books by an author who's dead. But, I mean, do you honestly think that people see progress as dangerous?
Well, that's a question, isn't it? That's the question we're going to ask. It's interesting that people are talking about progress again just now. I mean, to me, progress, you look in things like the French Revolution, and it was all about liberty and equality, and it was very much bound up with those Enlightenment notions.
Yeah, but it led to cutting off heads.
Yeah, well, yes,
it liberated heads from
so
bodies.
So therein comes the argument of the last 200 years about its worth and its value. I think it's interesting that people are more and more anti-progress these days, and interesting even that they're anti-progress because they see it as a problem for freedom rather than part of the package of gaining freedom, and that's what we want to discuss.
And yeah, this is something that really surprises me. I mean, even though the phrase, the word free speech, well, the two words free speech is seen as some sort of problematic. People assume that you must be some sort of far-right conservative Nazi if you want free speech, because I mean, obviously the Nazis were incredibly keen on free speech.
Of course, yes. I mean, that's one of the things that we try to do with the summer school, is to mix it up a little bit, and it is open to quite a wide variety of people. We tend to get people who've got all sorts of different backgrounds, all sorts of different political views and interests, and we find that the common starting point of an interest in freedom, I mean, obviously you're coming to a Living Freedom school, then you've got that starting point, but beyond that, really, there is so much for discussion, and that's what makes the sessions interesting. Even discussions around freedom and free speech and how they work, I think, are very much open to interpretation. So, to give an example, this year we're going to do a session on the heckler's veto, which is the protests that commonly happen outside universities. Edinburgh and Cambridge recently, which were on the show last week, where people are trying to stop films being shown. And you think, well, on the one hand, that's terrible. The hecklers are trying to shut down someone's free speech. But on the other hand, some of the things that are happening to these hecklers, being banned from campus or banned from attending protests, you think, well, actually, that's mitigating against their freedom. So I think these things are complicated.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we want to do at the school is to try and delve into things a little bit and really try to get the people that attend to work through these issues themselves rather than assume the answers.
Yeah. And Ella, what do your peers respond to you like when you say you're involved in a free speech event and you're going to be speaking at it? I mean, do you get much opprobrium from people your own age?
Not really. I think before I started to talk about it, maybe I was a bit more nervous about, what will people think and, what reputation will I get? But actually, most people know me and I like to think I'm not this terrible person and they know that I wouldn't be involved in it if it wasn't.
Yeah.
So if anything, it just stimulates debate and gets more people interested.
Right. And are you seeing people wanting to come to the event as a result of you talking about it? Do people get interested and want to get involved?
Yeah, I think they want to know what it is and, what freedom of expression actually is because, like you were saying before, there's all these bad stereotypes and it takes people to go there and actually say, wait a second, people here are pretty moderate and if they disagree, then it just ends in a drink at the pub afterwards and that's good fun.
Right, it's like a football match. And what do you hope young people will take away from the camp?
I hope that they'll take away an interest in the ideas behind freedom and free speech much more. So often these days everything seems quite black and white. You have one side of the culture wars versus another side. And we do try to complicate things and recognise that the world is quite a complex place. So they can come along, they can get a little bit of history and philosophy. We'll talk about some of the great thinkers over time, not necessarily just to give them a history lesson, but to try and let them understand how these ideas emerged, but also to question how relevant they are today, what it is that we need to do to update those ideas.
Yeah.
And then they'll also get some of the contemporary discussions.
Brilliant.
So it's a real mixture, and I hope it fires their enthusiasm for coming back, doing what Ella's done, and come away and thought, right, I really want to get involved and produce a session and speak on a session next year. So there's plenty of opportunities to be involved in the future.
And what do you think the risks to society are if we don't have free speech?
Well, the risks are where we are now, that no one is talking to each other because everybody's so ensconced in their echo chambers and their silos that you never get to discuss anything properly. So these are tricky issues that need openly debated.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Alistair Donald and Ella Nixon from Living Freedom Summer Camp, thank you so much for joining us.